and you're still watching Night TV International live from Cairo with the breakfast show, and on the sidelines of the conference held in Paris, attended by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in support of Sudan, and later on other African nations were discussed and supporting them, whether concerning the pandemic or investment and financial crisis as a repercussion of the pandemic. Those are the issues that are making the headlines in most of the news outlets and in most of the news media channels and papers. And we have with us over the phone Dr. Pacinthe. Good morning, Dr. Pacinthe.
Yes, good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you with us on Night TV International.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
And I'm sure you're following all the events and taking place in Paris and all of the headlines in the news. What are the main topics that attracted your attention, or what are the highlights of the conference held in Paris in support of Sudan?
This is a conference which came in a very critical area where the whole world is unstable. Sudan is a very big country, it's a very rich country, but unfortunately has been managed in the wrong manner for a very long time. The stability of Africa starts from Egypt and Sudan. The stability of Africa is the stability of the world. And you have seen as well the conference made by President Macron when they discussed the importance of the stability of the African continent. We come back to Sudan. Sudan, I repeat, is the entry to Africa through Egypt. And it's a very rich country in the center of the continent, where if we really could succeed in installing peace and stability in Sudan, will help developing the economic volley. Because we all have noticed, and the whole world has noticed, that the concept of having some rich countries enjoying everything and the rest of the world will be there watching is impossible. So now we have the diseases which has affected the whole world. I mean, if you have a problem of disease, it affects the whole world. The instability, economic instability affects the whole world because it creates crime, illegal immigration, terrorism, you name it. So I think that it came in the right time, and Egypt will play a major role in developing Sudan, cooperating together with the advanced countries. France is a very important country because most of the African countries are French-speaking. France knows how to deal with them. Egypt has been always there to coordinate. So I think it came in the right time. First of all, alleviating the debt burden. The countries, those countries, Sudan and other African countries, will never be able to service that except if they are restructured, alleviated, and if they have a proper plan to develop the economy in those countries so that they can become part of the economic advanced world. Because now you see, definitely, COVID-19 has revealed many things which many countries, if I might say, were pretending not to see. The stability of Sudan, stability of Africa, is the stability of the whole world. Egypt definitely will play a major role, regional role to start with, for that developing, transfer the experience of Egypt, especially in the economic volley, and giving them as well, how do you say, the possibility of developing especially the banking system. Because without a proper banking system, it's very difficult to deal with the world. And Sudan has as well problems with regard to banking system because most of them are applying different theories than the whole world. So you cannot communicate. So I think, yes, the presence of Egypt, the cooperation with France to develop Sudan is the first serious attempt to ensure that the world will enjoy stability in the coming period.
Dr. Pacinthe, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but what you have just said would let me ask you this question. We've seen that there is serious attempt by Egypt and France and whoever is attending, the countries attending the conference. What do we expect? What are the kind or the types of investment or projects expected to be actually on the ground in Sudan after this conference? What do you expect to see in Sudan?
I expect the major multinational cross-border companies to enter, to start properly. First of all, you need to have a proper economic reform, because you don't start investment like this, starting by fiscal policy, monetary policy, fighting corruption, and many things like the one we had. Second, we have to invite the major cross-border companies with their technology and the wealth of Sudan to develop infrastructure to start with, because without infrastructure it's very difficult, train the people, and as well establish projects together, joint ventures, whereby Sudan and the major multinational companies, including Egypt, would go into the system of public-private partnership. Together, they will develop the projects. But this as well needs to develop the environment, the investment environment, because the people do not move like this. You need to have a system for easy entry to the market, to Sudan, and easy exit if we wish to go. So it is a long exercise, but Egypt has a good story to tell. They could follow the same rules. And I repeat, France is a very well experienced country in Africa. Together with Egypt, they can develop Sudan, but starting with the infrastructure and an proper economic strategy.
Dr. Pacinthe, my final question to you, how do you see the significance of the economic and political cooperation between Egypt and France?
France has been in Egypt since decades. France is a very advanced country when it comes to technology, and has been there in many aspects of the economy, and even on the military side. So you name it, in tourism, military, pharmaceutical, agribusiness, economic blue and green. We have a long list, even in the education section. So I think this long list of cooperation existed since decades, since the Suez Canal and before. So we have a good experience together. We know how to deal together, and this is a major important part. Because dealing between investors or countries doesn't come overnight. You need to have an experience on how to do that. The economic diplomacy will play a major role, where everybody should be winning. The easy entry to the market and easy exit to the market if they wish to go. So I think we are ready. After the economic reform phase 1, now we're entering the phase 2. And France exists in Egypt, and it will continue to exist, not only for Egypt, but for entry to Sudan and the rest countries.
Thank you, Dr. Pacinthe, very much for being with us on Night TV International. Thank you, dear viewers. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching us on Night TV International on The Breakfast Show live from Cairo. Stay tuned for the French program coming up. Thanks a lot. This is Nasreen Baha.